Hey, it's Gene retired in Mexico, and I've got a short introduction to part two of our band Morrison here. Very important, just a note. But before that, let me just remind you, I always forget, I forget to say hit that like or subscribe button, like and subscribe. Patreon link below. You can support me for free or for $2 a month. It's up to you. And, the engagement's important. I just can't stress it enough. Engagement, engagement, engagement. It's the oil that makes this machine work. But anyway, on this video, if you watch part one, my guest, Jem, aka Professor Gumbo, was about 10 albums, 15 albums into the countdown, into the ranking. He said, "How far are we going to go?" I said, all the way was my plan. He says, "Oh, I didn't finish the rankings, but I can do it off the top of my head." And he proceeds to talk about more than 40 albums off the top of his head extemporaneously. It's remarkable, absolutely remarkable. So, what's the issue? Well, the issue is that when the eyes were traveling on the spreadsheets, the Excel sheets that we were using, he jumped 39 and 37. So, during this recording, he's always two albums ahead of me. So, what I did was I got a copy of the spreadsheet and I did a little cut and paste. So, most of this video is in real time. Portions of it are not. Portions of it are leapfrogged. Okay, leapfrog. Okay, whatever the past tense of leapfrog is, and I don't think it'll ruin your enjoyment at all. I just did that so it would correlate with the spreadsheet. We take turns doing five at a time, but just know that not everything is in real time. Sometimes there's a little time jump. Okay, and when he gives his number, says, "Hey, it's 33," it's probably 31 because there was this two album jump through the whole video till we got to the top 10, and then we figured it out. But we were recording live, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I'm presenting this to you in the order of the spreadsheet, which I'll put at the end of this video. And like I say, I think it's fine. I've watched it. Doesn't bother me. I don't think it'll bother you. I just want you to know because otherwise you'll be like, what's going on here? All right. Enjoy the video, and I'm excited to have you on board. Thanks. Okay. I think that puts me up now.
Yeah.
So 35 through 31. So at 35, I have an album that I like better than you do. And I'm at 3.5 stars. I have The Prophet Speaks, the one with the bad album cover.
Uh-huh.
I love Joey DeFrancesco. By the way, I saw in concert, not Joey DeFrancesco, but I saw Papa DeFrancesco, his father.
Oh, okay.
And it was a weird show because he was sitting behind the organ. You couldn't see him the whole time. But it was in Scottsdale, Arizona. But this is a great band. I absolutely love yeah, the smart thing he did on this album was he just used Joey's band. And
Okay.
that band is hot. I absolutely love the playing on this album. It's very jazzy. I've got a note that the harmonica is fantastic. Band happens to be one of my favorite harmonica players. If I had to pick my favorite of all time, it would be Sonny Boy Williamson too. But Band's up there, I think. For rock harmonica players, he's probably my favorite. Mick Jagger is also a very good harmonica player. But they're having a lot of fun on this album, and I really, really like it. Number 34 is where I have Roll with the Punches, which, by the way, that was the second album cover. The first one was wrestling, and then they got sued and they had to replace it with boxing. So,
Right. I have the boxing cover, which was the one that came out afterwards.
uh-huh. And
Yeah.
so Roll with the Punches. I have a note here that I preferred the back half of this album, but I am now up to 4 stars. This is my first 4-star album. I like this a lot. My favorite songs are How Far From God, Automobile Blues, Benediction, and the Bo Diddley cover, Right on Josephine. Yeah, this is a fun album. I really enjoy it. Number 33 I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I have this so much higher than you. I have Moving on Skiffle at number 33. Um, in this case, it has backing vocals that are what I call Nashville Owen Bradley backing vocals, but they work.
Uh-huh.
Um, by the way, did you know that the liner notes, I don't own this album, but the liner notes were written by Jimmy Page.
Really?
Yeah, which
Really?
is very interesting. But you have washboard, castanets, fiddle. Again, it's like keep it simple. You have these really interesting uh, instrumentation on here. I didn't write down any of the songs because I didn't have enough space here on my spreadsheet. But I really like Moving on Skiffle. I think it's a great late album. This is from 2023. It's just fun and it's well recorded and well played. And like I say, the instrumentation's fantastic. Yeah, I really like this. Number 32, I have an album that might be controversial for how low I have it, but I have Down the Road. Um, I like this album a lot, but I have a problem with this album. This from 2002. The problem I have with this album, which is a good problem, is that there was actually another album recorded initially called Choppin' Wood, which you can listen to on bootleg. Have you listened to Choppin' Wood?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I don't think so. When did it come out? It might be under another name.
Well, it
Um,
never it never came out because
but as a bootleg, when
Linda
was it
Gale,
recorded?
yeah, Linda Gale Lewis was on it, and
Oh,
then
okay.
they had the falling out, and so what he did was um, he re-recorded this album, and I don't think the re-recording is as good as the boot. Chopping Wood, I had there's a website of 100 best bootlegs.
Hmm.
Chopping Wood's like a top 20 bootleg of all time, not just for Van Morrison, but just period.
Now, this
Uh,
is a studio bootleg.
yeah, it's a studio
Oh,
bootleg.
okay.
It's on YouTube. It's fantastic. I think it's twice as good. If it were officially released, it would be one of my favorite albums. Um, I have on my notes here the songs I like are Choppin' Wood, which is not the title track. This is Down the Road. But Choppin' Wood would have been the title track if it had initially been called Choppin' Wood. I like Talk is Cheap, and I like George on My Mind. I love that Ray Charles cover, and I love Fast Train. So these are
Mm,
all
yes.
good. And you have great instrumentation on here again. You have harmonica, you have clarinet on here, which is really interesting, fiddle. Um, but you have it could have been a better album. Like I say, Beauty of the Days Gone By, I prefer the later re-recording. And then there was an outtake from this album, which if it had been included, I might have had it higher. And that is just like Greta, which was bumped to the Magic Time album. If just like Greta had been on here, it would have probably elevated it a couple notches. So I like Down the Road, but the problem is I've listened to Choppin' Wood several times, and I just think that album was better, and that this was a step down. So, but it's a good problem because it means there's another great album out there. And at number 31, I have an album that people have mixed opinions about. It's a period of transition. Um, All Music gives it 3 stars. I give it 4 stars. So I do think it's an underrated album. Um, one interesting thing I did a just for fun, I did a thing where I went to Setlist FM and I put down Van Morrison's 100 most performed songs. His most performed song is Moondance. And he
Of course.
hardly ever does any material from this album. I don't think he likes this album. He just doesn't perform these songs live. If I have a criticism of Period of Transition, it's that it's a little samey. But each song is
pretty good. I don't really understand the meaning of some of the songs, like Flamingos Fly, and I don't know what the hell he's singing about. But I will say, this is my last one for this segment. There is a Dutch TV show, the Hilversum TV show, with Dr. John and Mick Ronson, where they do these songs, I think a week or two before the album came out. And I love that. I love the in the studio um, televisions. I think it was a TV studio, not a radio studio, but they did these songs live. Mick Ronson and Dr. John are just great on it. So I would say I like a period of transition, but I'd rather watch the Hilversum TV show where they do all these tracks plus a couple other songs. So that's it. Number 35 through 31.
Is a great album. Um, Keep It Simple. Uh, Keep It Simple from 2008. We've got, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my albums again. All right. First of all, really nice album. I had a giant 3 foot by 3 foot poster of this up in my classroom. I was a school teacher, and for the longest time, um, it has some really good songs. But again, the best one is Behind the Ritual. I agree with you there. And isn't that where he starts going blah 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 blah? Yeah, at the end, and it's like, and that was proving to me then that Van could sing blah 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 and get away with it. Uh, I don't know if I still believe that, but I believed it at the time. Um, okay, so that was Keep It Simple. That's 3.5 stars. And I think it was your number 37 also. Uh, Austin City Limits. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, the thing is that
Yeah.
what puts it above Pay the Devil for me is that the singing is better. Okay, the singing has more energy, more power to it. You liked the band. I like Van's vocals on this. Okay, he does he. If I'm going to listen to the Pay the Devil songs, typically I would rather have them here. Okay, so that's 10 places above. Uh, Keep it simple. 36. Going to end up with this one. Magic Time. Magic Time is a an album that I bought because I was totally fanatical about Van Morrison at the time. And so, of course, I expected to love everything about it. And I just kind of forgot about it a lot. 2005. Celtic New Year is really good. I like Celtic New Year. Um, and Evening Train is a good one. Gypsy in My Soul, the lion this time. He's going back to ideas, mystical ideas that he's had before. But then there's just the typical, oh, the music business, has screwed me over. Like they sold me out. And it's like, oh, come on, Van, leave that off. You had such a good album going. You have The Lion this time, which is great, Magic Time, which is good, and then they sold me out, and oh, come on. But still, 3.5 stars. So I can live with that. 3.5 stars for anybody else. Now I go back to the very beginning, not to them. We agreed not to put them in there, but Blow in Your Mind. Now, Van didn't like that album. It was a contractual. It was like that was part of what made him hate the music business in the first place. The
Hmm.
fact that he was brought to New York from Ireland to do uh, to do 4 singles and 4 B-sides. And Burt Burns took them and released them as an album with a really cheesy, as to use one of Gene's words, cheesy name from 1967. Blow in Your Mind. Van even did, when he on his contractual obligation, he did one, Blow in Your Nose, Nose in Your Blow. Um, but and the cover is psychedelic. I don't mind the psychedelic cover. Um, what do I like about this album? I used to consider it to be sort of a throwaway. I really did. Um, but over time, I have come to like it more, especially when the alternate takes were released with it as to make it a 13 track instead of an 8 track. Okay. Um, of course, it has Brown Eyed Girl. And, Brown Eyed Girl is Brown Eyed Girl. Um, you mentioned TB Sheets, but it doesn't come close to the Astral Weeks version of it. The Spanish Rose, you don't like it. I do. It's like Brown Eyed Girl revisited. It's a similar track, but I love Brown Eyed Girl so much that I like that. Um, Row Rosie. That's another one I like. Row Rosie. And I mentioned earlier Midnight Special. He does that. Um, and so there were some great songs that he did around that time, and one of them, which was a an outtake, was Joe Harper Saturday Morning, and I like that. Now, Joe Harper, some of you who are into American literature may know, was one of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn's friends. Um, but
Oh,
I
I
think
didn't know that.
Van just took that name. I just love how he said, "Go see Joe Harper Saturday Morning, kid." Um, and so there's a lot of really good songs on it, and that makes sense because it was recorded as 4 singles. So you're going to be able to at least pull 4 singles off of it. 3.5. Okay. All right. That was my number 35. Now, 34. I love Van Morrison live. I can make a good argument that Van Morrison's live albums are often better than the studio albums that correspond. But but I have so many Van Morrison live bootlegs, and when I say so many, I mean probably at least 50 or 60. Um, that you know, some of his live albums just don't measure up. It's not that they're bad; it's just that there are better albums to that effect. And one of them is A Night in San Francisco. Um, it's like Van's going back to his them days of fronting a show band, getting a whole bunch of blues singers on there with him, and so he shares the stage with other people, um, and Brian Kennedy sings on some of the songs, and it does a nice job. Brian Kennedy is the best Joni Mitchell impersonator I've ever heard. Okay, he even made an album. Were you aware he made an album of a tribute to Joni Mitchell? Um,
I'm
it's
not
it's
sure.
worth it's worth hearing. Okay, but and his first album had several songs that you'd swear if they came on the radio they were Joni Mitchell. Well, Brian Kennedy became Brian's kind of his protege for a while, and he's good on it. And there's a Gloria shaken all, with shaken all over that goes on for like 10 minutes, and Candy Dolfer, the German sax player who was with him at the time, Van says, we're going to have elocution lessons. And she goes, G. And people go, G, L, L, R. That's so much fun. My favorite track from it, though, is a better version of "I Forgot That Love Existed" from the
Hymns to Silence.
yes, Hymns to the Silence. No, Hymns to the Silence. No, no. It was I Forgot That Love Existed was from Poetic Champions Compose.
Oh, okay. I stand
Yeah, yeah.
corrected.
And that is and that's the album, and that's an album that really, I mean, we have some differences on, but that song, that live version of it, because every break after every 2 lines, a different person steps up and plays a different instrument, and it's just really, it really kicks, it burns. Okay, so that has some good moments. It's just that, is it fair to say that a Van Morrison album maybe goes on too long? Um, no, it's not, because it's too late to stop now. Volumes 2, 3, and 4, but still, Um,
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm on 30 through 26.
right.
And this is where I have at number 30. How long has this been going on? I couldn't agree with you more. This is the band absolutely swings. Oh my God, the band is so hot on this album, and it's a great collection of songs. And is this the one that has Sack of Woe on it?
Yeah, yeah, Sacagawea.
I That's a Cannonball Adderley song, and I've listened to the original, and I just love their cover of that. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. It's got it's almost one note. There's this repeating one note, and they just do it so well. And it has organ on it, and that's an instrument that Van just loves. He loves Hammond organ,
Hmm.
and man, it's just I really recommend this. It's almost pure jazz. Um, but this album is hot. It crackles, 4 stars. I love it. Yeah, we're right there because we're talking about some of the same albums here. At number 29, I have A Night in San Francisco. This is an album that took me years to appreciate. And even today, when I listen to it, the audience on this album is ecstatic. And I can enjoy it and love it, but I can't, the audience seems to be enjoying the show more than they should. Um, but the standout players to me are Candy Dulfer, who I thought was from the Netherlands, but I
She
could be
might
wrong.
be. She might be. I
Yeah.
thought she might be Dutch. I thought she was German.
Yeah, and the tempos are really fast on this album, but I love Candy Dulfer. I've come to appreciate how great of a sax player she is. I think Junior Wells really plays his spot really well. And then someone that we don't talk about much, there's a player called Tina Lyle who plays
Oh yeah,
vibraphone.
wasn't
And
she with that? She was with a weird mid '80s kind of new agey band.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't.
But Tina Lyle is fantastic on this album. You know, I'm less thrilled with things like the John Lee Hooker. One song on here that's fantastic is their reading of Moondance. It's so up tempo and it just cooks. And yeah, I'm not going to say I prefer it to the studio version, but the Moondance is just incredible on here. This is an album I still need to listen to more than I have because every time I listen to it, it grows on me. So I had it really low on here, like 3 stars, and I kept listening to it. And then I'm like, no, it's 3.5. And then finally I was like, no, it's 4 stars. Uh, but I think your remarks on it are fair. It is an album that maybe feels a little longish. And yeah, it's a little bit too loaded with guest stars. So I think all your remarks about that were spot on. Um, but yeah, I've come to what I'm interested in doing is going back and listening to it for the songs that you mentioned. Number 28 and number 27 are kind of a pair because they were released in close proximity with the same band, the same basic band. I've got Magic Time at number 28, and I'm at 4 stars. The band on here, you have Foggy Little and Mick Green on guitars. You have David Hayes on bass, Matt Holland on trumpets, and flugelhorn. And this band is great. Um, and I really like the song Just Like Greta. Um, which was, as I mentioned, is an outtake from Down the Road. And I don't know. One note I have on here, he's got some of his complaining songs on here
Uh-huh.
that you mentioned about They Sold Me Out. And I just have a note on here. Van, do you need new management? Um, that's what I think of when I hear those songs. Like, get another manager, right? So, but Magic Time is really strong. And 2 years earlier, he did an album called What's Wrong with This Picture? And it's the same basic band as Magic Time. But this time he recorded for Blue Note instead of Geffen. So that's kind of interesting that it's the same band but different record labels. But these are sort of a pair to me. So that's why I have them together. It's kind of hard for me to put one above the other. Um, but yeah, and I've got a note on here that some there are some songs on here that I think foreshadow his pandemic albums. Even though I love this album, I start to get that vibe from him that he's unhappy with the world, and I don't have any. And maybe what was it called? They sold me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's songs like that, and then at number 26, another album like A Night in San Francisco that took me a long time to warm up to. And that's Hymns to the Silence. I have it number 26, 4 stars. Um, in re-listening to this, I kind of heard it differently than I used to. This is an album that never actually owned. I've got a bunch of Van Morrison CDs. This is a hole in my collection. Um, so I was a little late to it because I didn't really listen to it till streaming came about. But the songs, well, it's got a real nostalgic feel. Songs I like is I'm Not Feeling It Anymore. I Can't Stop Loving You, which is, you mentioned modern sounds in country western music. That was the Don Gibson song that Ray Charles recorded. So is it a Don Gibson cover or a Ray Charles cover? Yes. Why Must I Always Explain? So these are the singles. But yeah, a lot of nostalgia. And then there are some overtly Christian songs and hymns on here, which I like. There's the song All Saints Day, which I love. But I'll tell you the song that blew me away that I never noticed before until we started doing this project. Take Me Back.
Oh yeah. Take me way, 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 way back.
Way, 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 way back to when life was simple. And I think this song captures, he's done a whole bunch of nostalgia songs about how great the past was. And then he does other songs like Enlightenment, where he's talking about, or Precious Time, where he's talking about present tense. It's kind of a duality that Van has, that sometimes he's very in the now, and other times he's in the past. And I think this song, Take Me Back, it may be his best nostalgia song. It's absolutely remarkable. And then he says, he breaks the fourth wall and he says, I want to play my harmonica. And then he blows this great harmonica solo. And then he starts referencing Sonny Boy Williamson. As soon as I played the song, I just started it over and I played it like 3 times in a row. And I'm like, how did I never notice that song? It's incredible. I think it might be my favorite song from the album. So Hymns to Silence, a double album from 1991, took me a long time to warm up to, but it improves on repeated listenings. All right, your turn, Jim.
Then right after that is number 33. Why don't I like this one as much as I should? It is live at the Grand Opera House, Belfast. This is again a 3.5, so it's a good album. But it comes off of Van Morrison's kind of spiritual new age type of thing when he wasn't doing rock and roll anymore. He was just doing new agey albums. Some were more successful than others. And he basically does some good versions of it. However, the backup singers, oh man, the girl backup singers, I think it was Eugene that pointed out to me on Van Lowe's Stairway when the girls sing, Save Me, it just sends chills through you. His Rayvon John Dunn, despite his flubbing of the lyrics, is really, really excellent. So good that he put it on an anthology. Okay. Um, and so it's a good album, but it's not the Van Morrison that I loved. It was, kind of okay, it's good. However, that's a four. We got our first four with that one.
Okay.
Number 32, Back on Top. Um, did you choose Back on Top yet?
No.
1999. Let me take a look at it here. Tell you what I like about it. It's also a four. I know what I like about it. It was the album that he toured when we saw Van for the first time. Yes, at the Guinness Flay. And it has some really great songs. First, the title track, Back on Top, a great ballad, When the Leaves Come Falling Down, Precious Time. Um, and so it was a really good one, and great cover. All right, so that's another number four. Um, And then that was my 32. 31 is What's Wrong with This Picture? One of the best of the later Van Morrison albums. And what is it about it that I like so much? Well, I will tell you. Um, as soon as I can find it here. Here we go. Uh, St. James Infirmary, classic blues jazz song. Van just makes it his own. Um, and basically that just makes the album. I mean, a Once in a Blue Moon is a good, finger snapping, almost moon dance type of song. But it's and then Whinin' Boy Moan, where he's kind of making fun of himself. So that one's a good one. So that's my number 31. And it's almost all of the final ones, but I still have my number 30 to go with. Okay, did I already talk about Down the Road? Yes.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, yeah, that's my last 2000s Van Morrison album, Down the Road. And it's an album that has you had talked about it, and I was nodding because I agreed with you about a lot of things. Um, the Beauty of Days Gone By is great. Steal My Heart Away. Hey, Mr. DJ. Chopping Wood. Um, but George on My Mind, also really good. Fast Train. Fast Train, it blows me away. But see, I'm really big into spiritual Van Morrison. And when he lets the lion take control of his soul, that's what I really like. So, we've got a good solid 4 stars with this one. Okay, now we're into the 20s. Where did I put my 29 here? I'm looking at my spreadsheet where I was putting the numbers in. Oh, here we go. Of all what was considered Van's classic period, his first 5 studio albums, not counting Blowing Your Mind, this is the one that has the least appeal for me, but it's still a 4.5. Okay, it's still a 4.5. And that is his band and the street choir.
Mm.
It's maybe because it followed up such a great album, Moondance, and preceded such a great album, Tupelo Honey. But there's some lightweight stuff on there. There's some great songs, but there's also, Crazy Face, some others. And it's like Van is relaxed, and that's not a bad thing. Originally, apparently, he'd planned to do an a cappella, album,
Right,
but then he ended up putting singers on it, and it's good. It's good. I just don't return to it frequently of the early Van Morrisons. That's the one that I have the least. Okay.
Okay, I think that you're going to be surprised with this next list. I'm looking at it, and yeah, I think you're going to be surprised because there's a couple albums that you've already been through that I haven't mentioned. And at number 25, are you sitting down? Okay. Number 25, I have the Skiffle Sessions live in Belfast, 1998. I love
Okay.
this album. I love this album. It's so much fun. It's such high energy. I don't mind Lonnie Donegan. There's that other, I think it's Chris Barber is his name. He sings on there too. I I didn't listen to this album for until years after it came out. And I love it. And I think the song selection is just awesome. Uh, it's interesting too that the songs are all done in skiffle, but they're different genres. And yeah, it's live. It's got a loose feel. Uh, Tell Cindy that the skiffle sessions live in Belfast is my number 25. 4 stars.
Okay.
Um, Number four, you just mentioned it from 1983, Inarticulate Speech of the Heart. Um, it's not a rock solid album from start to finish, but it's got songs that I love. It's got Higher Than the World, which I think is a gorgeous song. It's got Rave On John Donne, Irish Heartbeat, and it is in fact a precursor to the album Irish Heartbeat. You can hear the seeds of that album on here. Um, it's a little new agey, but I like it better than Poetic Champions compose. I just like the songs better. And one note I have on here that's interesting is no harmonica. So I think Van was going through a keyboard phase here. And I love his guitar, sax, and harmonica, but this album does pretty well for a keyboard album. Number 23, I have Enlightenment. We're still at 4 stars. And the note I have on here is that tracks 1 through 6 are superb. And you think, oh, this is going to be a top 10 album. And then it sags. There are songs like She's My Baby on the second side that just take the album down, but those first 6 tracks are strong enough to put this album at number 23. Yeah, yeah, I love Enlightenment. I didn't put any song titles on here, but obviously the title track is great. Number 22, this is where you had his band in the street choir as kind of your least favorite of the first classic period.
Hmm.
Mine's going to be Hard Nosed the Highway at number 22.
Okay.
Again, I'm at 4 stars. Um, and what's interesting about this album is this is the album that when he toured, it became It's Too Late to Stop Now. This became the Caledonia Soul Orchestra. Um, and you don't really, I don't know, I don't really see that coming, from this album, which makes that album all the more remarkable. Um, so I, so again, you were talking about album covers. This is not his best album cover. I won't say it's his worst. It's not like The Prophet Speaks, but it's not a great album cover. And uh, and that's a bit of a turnoff. But then you listen to it, it's got some really good stuff on it. But I like the back half. So I find that the opening track, San Anselmo, which I like, is a weird opener. In other words, my criticism of this album is it maybe could use different sequencing.
Hmm.
So San Anselmo brings it down a little bit for me. The Great Deception brings it down for me a little bit, but I absolutely love the back half of this album. I, it's like that's 3 songs I like all have colors either in the title or are sort of hinted at. I love the cover of Being Green. So apparently, when Shauna was born, they were watching Sesame Street, and he did this cover of Being Green, which Kermit the Frog sang on on Sesame Street. And I absolutely love his reading on this. And then another cover is Purple Heather, and I like that. And then the very long 10-minute song or 9-minute song, Autumn Song.
Mhm.
which I have put on Christmas anthologies before because he sings about roasting chestnuts and different things, and it's a great holiday song. Um, yeah, this is an album I've gone back and forth on. I like it. I like it. I don't know if I like it every single time I play it. Um, but yeah, it's good. But this would be his band in the street choir. This would be my least favorite of the classic period. And then you thought the Skiffle Sessions was a surprising choice at 25. You ready? Number
Mhm.
21, album that I haven't mentioned yet. Number 21, Pay the Devil.
Mm. Okay.
You said that some people really like this album. Um, it's a great track list. Oh my Lord. I love these songs. I love every single one of these songs. I think they're just stellar choices. And and the band is hot, as we mentioned earlier. But one thing that's interesting about this is he sings it a little bit straight. So I think your take on the album is absolutely fair, and yet I hear it in a different way. It's faithful, not weird, Van. Okay, let me explain. Like when he has that song, the title just escaped me, but he's talking about bubbles, and then he goes, "Blah, blah, 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 blah," you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
Um,
know,
the-
or the you, or take me way, 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 way back. There's this thing on Pay the Devil, he doesn't do that. He shows reverence for these songs. And so I think your take is completely fair. And I can hear where you're coming from, but I hear it differently. I hear it as love and reverence for the songs, and that his vocals are more restrained. And I think it works. I think he's a good country western interpreter. And Pay the Devil has grown on me over the years. I actually own this album and I have it at 4 stars. So that's it. That's my 25 through 21. I bet you are surprised I got
well,
skipped
not really, but what
country.
you call love and reverence, I kind of see as um, boredom and ennui.
Right. Uh-huh.
It's like he's not excited about the songs. That's the thing. Now the thing is, I can understand. You said it's a great track list. If remind me if I am misremembering, but didn't your parents listen to a lot of country music when you were growing up?
My father did.
Yeah. Okay.
The
See,
first, yeah, the
my
first
parents,
time. Yeah, go ahead.
my dad listened to big band swing.
Okay.
Difference in generations a little bit. Yeah. And so I think that those songs mean something to you more than they mean something to me.
Many of them I didn't know. But yeah, some of them, like There Stands the Glass, is a Webb Pierce song. I love his version of Half as Much, but I couldn't tell you who did it. But there's a lot of Hank Williams on here. Yeah. Anyway,
All
um,
right.
go ahead.
Okay. The next one is 28. It's also four stars because did I say the last one was
Four,
4 stars?
you said
4.5.
last 4.5,
Yeah.
you said.
Everything is 4.5 till I tell you otherwise. Period transition could be longer. Van was uncertain as to what to do. He got together with Dr. John. They ended up doing some stuff that, you know, when it first came out, the album disappointed me, but then I was just a child at the time. When this album came out, I was, oh God, period of transition. I was a child. I was 20 years old. And I didn't get some of the funky stuff that's on it. Like it fill you up, it fill you up, it fill you up now. Um, Joyous Sound is Joyous Sound is a great song. And there is the Van Morrison, yeah. And he doesn't do that anymore, but he did with Flamingos Fly. This is where he just does a cry of joy throughout the entire song. And Flamingos Fly. And then Cold Wind in August is a song I did not get for a while, but over time, it really, really got to me. Cold Wind in August shivers up and down my spine. Um, And so that was the period of transition, which the album, what's poor about it is the reason it's not a 5-star album is there's not enough of it. Okay.
Mm.
There's just not enough. Um, 27, Beautiful Vision of Van Morrison's New Age albums. This one is the best. Okay. Um, it's it has some great songs on it. Again, the same problem with Grand Opera House Belfast. They're not as punchy as they could be. As a matter of fact, there's really nothing punchy on the album. It's just uh, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful vision. However, it has some great Van Morrison songs that he was to revisit live for the rest of his career. Northern Muse, aka Solid Ground, Beautiful Vision, She Gives Me Religion, Cleaning Windows, a harkening back to his days as a window cleaner, Van Lowe's Stairway. But then, after the kind of choir girls across the bridge where angels dwell, Van won his was maybe his first and only um, Grammy, Scandinavia, as an instrumental, best rock instrumental. And it's not rock at all, but I mean, it could be a Windham Hill song, but it's
Mhm.
still, it's cool that he got that. Okay, so that is Beautiful Vision. 26, a score below that, Inarticulate Speech of the Heart. It's more of the same, but not as good. Okay, more instrumentals. Van was saying, "Hey, maybe I'll get another Grammy for an instrumental." Um, it has some really good songs, most of which he did better later on with the Chieftains. But it's still a 4.5 for me for Van Morrison. Uh, 25, no, 26,
No,
26.
you want to stop at 26. So,
Yeah, I want to stop at 26. Okay. Yep, that's it.
okay, interesting. And yeah, I was going to make some remark, but I didn't. Oh, on period transition, do you like the song You Got to Make It Through the World?
Yeah, it's a great opening. It's the album. It's not the strongest album and strongest song in the world, but it's a great song. It has a very much a Dr. John feel to it.
Go ahead.
25. This is an album that is a flawed masterpiece, which is basically what a 4.5 stars is. By the way, I'm going to start 5 stars with number 20. Okay, so the remaining songs here are 4.5, what I would call flawed masterpieces.
Okay.
Hard Knows the Highway.
Mhm.
Um, it pales in comparison to the covers of those songs that he did on the subsequent tour. Okay, with a couple exceptions. Snow in San Anselmo with a chamber choir singing. You talk about Van being weird, but he sings the song first. What the song's about? It's snowing in San Anselmo, which they said it hadn't happened in over 20 years, but it was laying on the ground. But then you've got Snow in San, a choir singing, and then it goes into jazz, and I mean, like real, like, weather report. And it's like, okay, Van, yeah, weirdness. I was in high school when this came out, and I wasn't ready for that weirdness yet. But, you know, um, it's got some really great songs. Hard Knows the Highway is one of his curmudgeonly, I hate the music business songs, but it's still a great song. Warm Love is one of the most beautiful ballads he has ever written. Um, and but then we get to the second side, and we have a song that, you see, my Irish blood burns when I hear Van do a good Irish song. And Purple Heather is a redoing of the song. I'm trying to think of the name of it. The Birds did a copy of it as well. They did it.
Turn, turn,
But
turn.
no, no, no. Purple Heather is. Oh, anyway, the McPeak family did it.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. And we'll all go together. Wild Mountain Time. Wild Mountain
Okay.
Time. And but then the way Van does it, he makes it sound like a Van Morrison song. Um, and his Jeff Labis, his pianist at the time, is doing this da 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 da, and Van starts singing along with that da 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 da, and oh, the Van accompanying the piano, it's just it's beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. So and I think that's a great song. So it could have had more. I mean, it came after St. Dominic's Preview, and the thing is, when we get down to like number 10, I'm gonna blow Gene away by telling him the album that I love so much, The Philosopher's Stone, and it's because there are so many songs on The Philosopher's Stone that could have been and should have been on Hard Nose the Highway. And it would have made if it was originally going to be a 2 record set, and God, that would have been a hell of a 2 record set if those songs would have been on there. Um, okay, 24, Wavelength. For exactly the reasons that you rated it lower, I just didn't rate it as low. Um, the fly in the ointment on this one, the flaw is the datedness of the late 70s production. But it has some wonderful songs on it, like Kingdom Hall and Natalia and Take It Where You Find It.
Yeah, that's
And yeah, so it's just really a strong album overall. And of course, the title track, Wavelength. I love the falsetto that he sings in at the beginning. So that's a good one.
okay. Number 20 for me, I'm still at 4 stars, is Back on Top. Uh,
Okay.
this is a great sounding album. Just the engineering and recording is fantastic. I've got a note here that there's a lot of seasonal lyrics. You were talking about when the autumn leaves fall and all this. And so my favorite songs always, when I first got this, were always the title track, Back on Top, and Precious Time. Always my two favorite songs. But there was a sleeper on the album. And it's now my favorite song on the album is The Philosopher's Stone. Adore that song. Not to be confused with the album, The Philosopher's Stone, which doesn't have a song called The Philosopher's Stone, but there is on this album. And he's singing about even my friends don't understand me, turning lead into gold. And that song has just snuck up on me over the years, and I absolutely adore that song. Highly recommend this album. Okay, now I'm jumping up to 4.5 stars. So I know you have this album. Well, I don't know because we haven't shared, but I suspect you have this album a lot higher on your list. But it's 4.5 stars for me. I have Irish Heartbeat at 4.5 stars. Um, an album that's grown on me. It's only 39 minutes long. There's two covers. By covers, I mean Van Morrison songs that because it's mostly traditional Irish music, but then there's two songs on there that such as Irish Heartbeat and I don't know, maybe Celtic Swing or something, I'm not sure, but there's a couple songs on there that are re-recordings and they're great. Um, but what's interesting about this album that's made it grow on me over the years is his vocals. This is, we were talking about Pay the Devil. This is a singer who's reverential and weird at the same time. My Leg in Love has the most unhinged vocals on there. It's incredible. So he's doing this traditional music, but then he's doing some Vanisms that he throws in there. And I think the blend is great. This was co-produced by Paddy Maloney, and the Chieftains, of course, are incredible band. Paddy Maloney, rest in peace. Yeah, love this album. So we're at 4.5 stars, but yeah, so many great traditional Irish songs. Okay, number 18. This will surprise you. But at number 18, I have You're Driving Me Crazy.
Really?
And my note is Joey, Joey, Joey. That's all I wrote in my notes. I love this album. It swings, it's jazzy, the band is hot, and the Hammond organs to die for. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this album. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I probably should have put Irish Heartbeat a notch above it. Looking at this now, I probably should have flipped those two. But yeah, I mean, All Music gives it 4 stars. I give it 4.5. I think it's great for his 21st century period. This would be. Let me take a look here. This is my second favorite 21st century album. But my favorite studio album of originals in the 21st century is You're Driving Me Crazy. Though there's covers on here too. Number 17, you mentioned, I have Astral Weeks live at the Hollywood Bowl. Love it. Great arrangements. I love the way he does. I wrote the word coda, but that's not the right word. He takes one of his songs and then he grafts something else onto it so that he does actually a medley of 2 songs. So he takes a lot of liberties. I think this is brilliant. I really think Astro Weeks is a brilliant, and the DVD is great. You were kind enough to give me a copy of this album with the DVD as a bonus disc, and it's fantastic. But what he's done here is he's like, okay, we talked at the top about how his voice has dropped an octave or two in register, and that Van Morrison's voice, he can't hit the high notes like he used to. And so he's like, I'm going to do a 40th anniversary recording of Astro Weeks, but I'm gonna make it a 2008 version. The CD came out in 2009, but your show was in 2008. And he's like, I'm going to update this for where I'm at now. And I think he nails it. Absolutely love it. And then coming in at number 16 is an album that I loved the first time I heard it. I cried during one of the songs when I first played it. A Sense of Wonder, 4.5 stars from 1985. I love the title track, Wagon Wheels and Gravy Rings. It shouldn't work.
Barnbracks.
Barbara.
Barnbracks.
Oh, it's great. Tore down a la Ram. I always say this wrong. Tore down a la Rambo. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
And then I criticized, not criticized, but kind of knocked Allison a little bit. But the cover, If You Only Knew, is fantastic. I love that. There's one of his better instrumentals, Boffy Flow and Spike. And then Let the Slave, where they pull in all that Blakean imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a perfect album. For example, there's a Ray Charles cover on here. It's good, but it's not my favorite Ray Charles cover that he's done. It's not a perfect album. It's a flawed masterpiece, as you would say. Terrible cover, I think. Well, terrible photograph.
Hey, you and your former wife gave me an autographed picture from those sessions of Van, framed. So I like that picture.
Yeah, you don't have it handy, do you?
No, it's in my room of no return.
Yeah.
I'll try to, but
A Sense of Wonder was the song I cried to. It was just so beautiful. Okay, your turn.
All right, we're starting with number 20, right?
Yes.
Now we're into 1990s Van and Hymns to the Silence, flawed masterpiece, a little boring, a little too long, but it has some amazing tracks on it. It's Van being spiritual. Never anything wrong with that. But that's what keeps it from being a 5. Enlightenment, exactly, no 22, exactly the same issues with Hymns to the Silence. Following Avalon Sunset, it's not as good. Okay. I think I feel guilty about this actually, because It is Astral Weeks live at the Hollywood Bowl. Okay, first of all, I don't think it should be anybody's surprise that Astral Weeks is one of my two favorite albums of all time. Um, and when I heard that Van was revisiting the entire album, like 40 years later, was it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and with all the songs, some of the original band at the Hollywood Bowl, and Cindy was excited about it. My daughter Kaylee was excited about it because she loves the Astral Weeks album also. So we went together and we paid for a box. Okay, if you've never been to the Hollywood Bowl, you're basically giving up your salary if you're a teacher by paying for a box. But we were served food there. There was this one guy from England who was a Van Morrison fan who had the extra seat because there's like 4 seats in a box, and so there were the three of us, and he had another one. And oh, it was so good. I think when Van sings on Sweet Thing, I will drive my chariots down your streets and cry, hey, I'm dynamite, and I don't know why. If you listen carefully on headphones, I think you can hear Kaylee screaming those lyrics as it goes through it. But it's a great album, but I'm comparing it to other Van Morrison live albums, and there's a kind of sameness to it. Um, I will give the vinyl had a nice version of Brown Eyed Girl that he did at the end. Um, but it's great, but why is it flawed? Because uh, only because it is. It was if you get the DVD and watch it, that's a force. That's a 5 star. Okay, it's the visuals that make it a little bit stronger. And so from now on, we're dealing with 5 star albums.
That was number what?
It wasn't it? Did I say that was? Let me double check it again. Uh, why am I having trouble finding these
Because
now?
I thought you said 20 and it should be 21, but
Yeah, no, I think it is 21. Yeah, that was 21. That was
okay.
21.
So I have a question for you on that. So he recorded that album over 2 nights,
Hmm.
is what I read, and you went to one night. Were you ever able to determine, do you have any idea which songs you actually were
Uh,
present?
the my understanding is that the album is from the first night when we were there, and that the um, DVD is from the second night. I'm
Oh,
not sure if that's the case, but I think that's
oh,
what it is.
I didn't know that. And then I read that John Densmore jumped up on stage for Gloria or something.
Yeah, I
And
think that was the second. That was on the second night.
oh, okay. All
We
right.
weren't there.
Well, I'm jealous.
It's a moment I will never forget, and Kaylee's glad that she went too. I mean, everybody loved it. So and the way he stretched out some of the songs, and made 6 minute songs into 12-minute songs and into 15-minute songs. It's what he had planned originally, apparently. Avalon Sunset. Um, Beautiful album. If you were to just ask me off the top of my head, what's the most beautiful album that Van has done, I would say Avalon Sunset. But it's the reason this is a 5 is because it's not just a beautiful album. Um, this is it has some songs like Orange Field and Daring Night, which is a Van Morrison mystical rocker. Squeeze Me, Don't Leave Me in the Daring Night, and in the Daring, in the Daring, in the Daring Night. So it's just a really good album. um Have I Told You Lately, of course, is an album that got played to death, but I don't listen to the radio, so I don't really mind it that much. Whenever God Shines His Light, a duet with Cliff Richard. It's an album that I think was everything Van wanted it to be, and as such, it's my first it's my first number 5 star album going counting down. Um, the next one, number 19, is an album that talk about mystical. This is Common One. And it's an album that is very different. It was Van leading into his New Age period, but he hadn't become New Age yet. Um, and it's got this amazing song on it, which, if any of you are real fans of Van Morrison, and you probably are if you're watching, if you've spent this much time on this, but uh, Summertime in England. Now, what's the only thing wrong with it? Well, if I told you, then it would bring this to a 4.5 stars. So I won't. No, I'll just tell you there are live versions that are actually even better.
Mm-hmm.
But Haunts of Ancient Peace, Wild Honey Spirit, Satisfied. I'm satisfied with my world because I made it the way it is. Just a great album.